40-year-old guy sleeps with a 15-year-old girl. Terrible, right? Rewind 200 years. 40-year-old guy sleeps with a 15-year-old girl. 100% normal.
Was it, though? Now, just as an aside, I don't get the sense that he is actually terribly invested, or knowledgeable for that matter, about this specific argument. He's trying to make a bigger, broader point about how the meaningfulness of activities is in what we ascribe to them, that it's socially constructed, it's variable, that it is relative.
Then it means that we can basically change the cultural narrative.
And in the abstract, I can get behind that point. But the specific examples you choose matter, and this is not the example he should have chosen. First of all, because what records we do have, and the record is very incomplete, would seem to indicate that men and women tend to be around the same age when they marry, at least when they marry for the first time. Again, looking at the historical record that we have, where age gaps are large, it tends to be because the husband is actually remarrying after the death of his first wife. Also worth pointing out here that women remarrying after the death of their first husband tended to marry much younger men. If any of that was surprising, there is a very good reason for this, which is that we have little to no awareness of what life was actually like for common people. Most of us know nothing, for instance, about Regency period England outside of what we read in Jane Austen. So if you're under the impression that large age gaps were a thing in England 200 years ago, this is probably all of the evidence that you're drawing on. So does the data support the claim that age gaps in marriages were larger in the past here in North America, in Western Europe? Yes. Especially if either partner was remarrying after death. But a 25-year gap where the younger person is barely pubescent? Not so much.
Which means the only thing that matters is that you chose to make it meaningful.
But only so long as we can admit that not every cultural narrative is equal. Some are more informed, more accurate, better than others. We would never want to return, for instance, to the cultural narrative around queer folks that existed 50 years ago. Though if I were to cite those values from 50 years ago as an example of how we can change the cultural narrative, I expect that people would have a lot of questions for me. And reasonably so. Because the analogies we make, the examples we choose, usually betray something of our bias. I'm sure people have a lot of questions for you too.